Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist in Yankton, South Dakota, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I am ready for this fall season that we are in. I've got my flannel on. I've got my gold jewelry on. I've had my first pumpkin spice latte of the season. I am in my happy zone. And so I hope this podcast finds you well. We're going to be talking a little bit about the things that are happening in the church this month of October, because we've got some things going on and I want you to know about it and be aware of it. And as always, if you ever have questions about anything that we're doing or how to get involved, anything like that, please let me know. I always welcome feedback. I welcome your questions. I welcome just time to get to know you a little bit better. And so with that in mind, let us look at our October calendar and see what we have coming up. This coming week, we have our XYZ fellowship opportunity. XYZ stands for Extra Years of Grace, and that is a fellowship opportunity that originated before my time, but we brought it back starting this fall. And we've moved it to the second Wednesday of the month. The first Wednesday was just a little bit difficult with my schedule, and I didn't want to cut the time short. And I wanted to be able to devote time to that and not feel rushed in our conversation. And so that'll be October 12th at 10 a.m. And that's XYZ, Extra Years of Zest. That's for anybody who's basically like retirement age or older. And partially, I mean, that's just the timing of it. That's who's probably going to be available. So I am looking forward to that. On the 15th, the church is doing something. Well, it's not us doing it, but we're hosting it. Naomi Summer's birthday party is going to be that day. They're having it here at the church from 2 to 4. Also, I believe they're doing a card shower for her. And so she's turning 100. And we celebrate that and are excited about that and so grateful for Naomi. And so we want to make sure that you know about that and can be a part of that and celebrating with her. And so that's on October 15th. And then, I'm so excited. I have been hearing about this since basically the day I came, and this will be my first experience with it in any shape or form, and that is the infamous soup kitchen. You've been seeing in the bulletins, if you've been in worship with us in person, the sign-up sheets for that. There's still time to let Dolores Kafka know if you're able to help either volunteer or help provide food. I know the last time I had talked to her, she was in need of more pies. And again, I sort of made the joke. It's not really a joke though, but like, if you're like, that's great, I don't make pie. You know who does make pie? Perkins. They make great pie. And so, I mean, that's always an option for you. Also, you did not hear it from me, but Sarah Lee makes a really good pie too. You just throw that in the oven. I'm a pie maker personally. I like to bake pie. That's my thing. And that's coming from a pie baker. That those are valid options for you. If you're like, I would love to help with that, I'm not a pie baker. You can use the ones that are in town. So but that is on Tuesday, October 18th, Tuesday. And the reason we did that, we know typically that's been on Wednesday. Well, with our Wednesday scheduling, trying to add just one more thing just wasn't really feasible. And so we moved it to Tuesday, and we moved it just for the evening section. And so it'll start, I think, at 4:30 until 7. And then also we've kind of downsized a little bit and also are moving away from doing the country store. So really focusing on the soup kitchen side of things. And so I'm really excited to experience this, and I've heard great things. And so make sure that that if you're not, plugged into that in some way, shape, or form, that you get plugged into that. And number 2, that you're telling people about it and inviting them to our church to be a part of that experience. And then knowing that whatever money is made from that is going to be going to the UMW, which is not technically the UMW anymore. I don't know if you've heard this, probably not, because I keep forgetting about it. Our UMW no longer, it rebranded, not like our local one, but like the United Methodist Women as a global entity rebranded into United Women of in Faith. You might hear us talk about UMW still, though, because if I say United Women in Faith, you're going to be like, what is that? So our UMW, technically United Women in Faith, they use that money to help support missions and things all around the community and within our church. And so it is a really great thing to support and be a part of. So I'm really, really excited about that. And then also, the next week, we have two things that are on the calendar that I want to talk about. And the first one is Trunk or Treat. I'm really excited because we're actually going to be partnering with Trinity Lutheran Church with our Trunk or Treat, and they're going to be sending some people over to do it, and then us. And I don't know, I guess if anyone else wants to decorate a trunk, by all means, they definitely can do that. But we want to invite you to consider decorating the trunk. We're going to do it on a Wednesday night. So that's Wednesday, October 26th. It's the Wednesday prior to Halloween. And the schedule for the Wednesday evening that night is going to look a little bit different in that we're going to serve supper between 5 and 5:30. And then we're going to have worship from 5:30 to 6:15. So come eat, head to worship, and then we'll keep the kids in the building from about 6:15 to 6:30. So our worship on Wednesdays goes about 45 minutes. The kids want to wear their costumes to church. They 100% can do that. If they're like, we don't want to, we want to wait, totally fine as well. You'll have that 15 minutes to kind of get their final detailing or whatever. Also, that timing is for whoever has a car to get out to their car and get last minute things in place so they're ready for the kids to come through. And then 6:30 is Trunk or Treat. Confirmation is helping with Trunk or Treat. Youth group is helping with Trunk or Treat. And so we're really wanting to make this an all church event. And so consider, you don't have to be elaborate in decorating. The big thing is that you're there, and that if you bring and have something to give the kids, a little candy, a little like toys. Oriental Trading has a lot of really fun little things. If you're worried about kids that might have allergies, that might be a route to go of seeing little trinkets. And they even have like religious ones that you can hand out that are Halloween, but also like faith-based. And so that's pretty cool. So let's like make that a big thing. Let's make that a thing that we can really invite the community and especially like our neighborhood to, and help people know who we are and what we're about. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to that. So the big thing to know there again is that so that's like basically 6:05 for the night, but we're doing worship at the 6:05 time. So come as a family to worship, and then after worship, we will hold the kids either in the sanctuary doing some kind of silly songs and stuff. Kids can be getting their costumes on, and everyone else can be getting out to their vehicle. Come before 5 if you can and set up. Otherwise, make it so that it's not too hard to get your vehicle set up in that last like 15 minutes or so. So we're just really excited about that. I love trunk or treats. In my last appointment, the town that we were in did not have trunk or treat, and we had some young people that really had a vision for it. And so we, along with the two other churches, really came together and made that possible. And so it's just been a really fun thing, and I enjoy it. It's a safe place for our kids to come and go trick-or-treating and know that that it's going to be a positive experience. And so that is on the 26th of October, Wednesday night before Halloween. And then the next day, the very next day is the chili cook-off for Habitat for Humanity. We are furnishing some items for that, but also we have a team that is going to compete, and I'm confident that we're going to blow the competition away. They're not going to know what hit them. That's what I think. I don't know. But Susan Shavy and I think Bob Dewey said he's gonna come hang out with us and be part of that too. We're gonna make some chili. we're going to hang out at the archery center. I think that's where it's going to be. And hopefully you can come down and support us, test out the chilies, and be a part of that. Again, we love Habitat for Humanity. We love the mission and ministry that they're doing. We want to be a part of that and support that. If it wasn't for the people in our church, Habitat would not be here in Yankton. It is members of our church that really got that going. And if you want to know more about that, talk to Mary Alice Halverson, because she's the one, her and her husband. So let's be, as a church, let's continue to support them. And that's why we are doing that. And so that's happening on the 27th. So lots of fun things. Those are just the events. Got another thing I want to talk about for October, and that is the thing that you hope that I never talk about, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is, October is our Stewardship Month. And so when we talk about stewardship in the church, we're talking about the ways in which, you've heard me say it. I will say it again. I will say it until I'm blue in the face. We have been blessed to be a blessing. We have been given gifts in order to steward them. Our life is a gift that God is asking us to steward. This earth is a gift that God is asking us to steward. And a steward is someone who does not own something, but who has been given responsibility over it. And so that's kind of like the broad, but typically when we start talking about stewardship in the church, what we're more often than not talking about is how do we steward the gift of money that we have been given. And so we just kicked off Wednesday night our sermon series called Defying Gravity. And it's really looking at, because here's the deal, stewardship is not going to be 4 weeks of me saying, give me your money, give me your money. We need to meet our budget. Give me your money. Because I don't want to go to a church that's what's happening. That's not useful. That's guilt-inducing. That's shame. And that's not what I'm about. And I don't think that's what the church should be about. I don't think that's the way Jesus was. But did Jesus talk about money? Yeah. He talked about money a lot, an uncomfortable amount. And it's the one thing we like to pretend that he didn't talk about. We like to focus on other things that he may or may not have said, or that's in scripture. But if you really want to take the Bible seriously, if you really want to follow God's word, we have to talk about money. And in particular, the reason we need to talk about it is because our relationship to money can get so out of whack so easily. It can get altered in a way that is unhealthy, and it's very easy to do. And so that's what we're focusing on in our sermon series with Defying Gravity, is we're really looking at our relationship to money, and in particular our relationship to our stuff that our money buys, and how much of it is owning us rather than we own it, and is it hindering us? Is that relationship holding us back? If you already heard the sermon for the first sermon, we talk about financial gravity and really feeling the weight of our burdens of debt, or our burdens of, I spent so much money on this, or I spent so much money on this, and so it's not free to me to do anything else. So, we're going to talk about, what does healthy relationship to money look like? What does it look like to be a steward? What does it look like to learn how to hold our things lightly and to have a relationship with money that allows us to be free to do and be free to give as we desire to do. And so I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be during the month of October, basically, the whole month. That's what we're going to be talking about this series. And again, the series is meant for a more holistic understanding, a more holistic view of how our relationship with money affects the rest of our life, and what does a healthy relationship with money look like. And we're all in different places in that. And hear me when I say, like, just because you have money or don't have money, it's not a moral judgment. Like, those that have are good and those that don't are bad, or those that have, are rich are bad and those that are poor are good. Like, it's not that. It's, we all have been given gifts. We've all have been given opportunities and blessings, and how we relate to those and how we honor God with that is the point, is the question. So it's not about amounts. It's about, how do we have a relationship with money and our stuff that's healthy enough to allow us to pursue our discipleship in a real and vital way, that allows us to be generous in a way that can transform not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us and the lives of those who are in the greatest need. And so I hope that you come with us on this journey, and we're going to be doing some interesting and fun things along the way. With that, however, one of the things that also happens at this time of year is we are looking at our budget for the next year. And so we've already been in discussion a little bit about what our budgets might need to be and need to look like, and trying, our leadership team is really doing that hard work of trying to be good stewards about what is realistic and about the money that we have coming in, and then what kind of ministry are we committed to so that we can fund the ministry that we believe God is calling us to, and do that in a way that is, that we're paying our staff what they deserve, that we are doing the most with what we have. I will say, I'm going to pause for a moment and say that right now, we are a little bit behind on our giving. Starting in about August, we had a bit of a downturn. And so if you are someone who pledged last year, maybe you're not up to date on your pledging, maybe consider, is there a way for me to kind of start building some of that back in? Or, if you're someone who tends to only give when you are in worship, have you thought about perhaps setting up automatic giving so that whether or not your life is crazy and you're here and there and everywhere, that you are still participating in the ministry in that way, and we can count on that? And so that we know that we have what we need to do the work that God has asked us to do. So thank you for that, by the way. We're not in danger by any means. I don't want you to hear that we're the lights are going to come off or something, by no means, no. But we are paying attention to those things. And if you are someone that's really struggling, and we get it, because I tell you what, inflation is real and inflation stinks. The cost of gas has gone up, right? And down and up and down, but it's still not in a great place for most families to be able to swing that easily. The cost of food has changed drastically, and we know that affects a lot of our people in our church. And so, budgets have kind of tightened in some ways, and we get that. And so, if you, again, and hopefully you hear me when I say, giving money is not the only way to give to the church and participate in it, but it is one way. And it is one way that we hope that everyone endeavors to do, not just for our sake at the church to pay our bills, but for your sake to have a healthy relationship with money. Because when we cannot let go, that's a problem, because then money starts to control us. So part of what we're doing as we look for the budget for 2023, and if you've been here in years past, you know that this is kind of the time that we're doing it. We're going to be sending out our estimates of giving cards. You're going to be getting a letter from me along with an estimate of giving card, and also a little informative thing that goes along with our sermon series for you to kind of use as a family to walk through and discuss, what does this look like? What are our goals? What is our hope? How are we going to work toward our goals? And what is God calling us to for 2023? Again, these are all tools that are meant to help you, that are meant to encourage you. And they go along, again, with what I'm going to be preaching about for the next few weeks. And again, hear me when I say, when you come to church, you're not going to hear over and over again, if you do not give, shame on you. That's not what this is about. Again, what we are about is trying to help you grow in your discipleship, to give you the tools necessary so that when Jesus calls you, you can hear him, you can respond. You are free to do that, and you are free to live the life that you are meant to live. That's, again, always what we are about here. And that's, we do things for your benefit. So I just want you to hear that over and over again. Anyway, so we would like those estimates of giving to be turned in. If you are a Wednesday night worshiper, or that last week, if you're like, I'm going to be at the church on Wednesday night because that is trunk or treat night, bring your estimate of giving that night. that's the night we want you to bring it. So if you're like, we're going to trunk or treat, this is the time where we're going to bring this to worship, that 5:30 worship. That's going to be an important worship service. We want you to be there. Have that ready to go. If you are someone that's like, I will get that in the mail, I will set it down and immediately forget about it, because I've been that person. I've been that person literally this week. We will also have it on the website, and we just ask that you fill that out by that week, by the end of October. Because here's the other thing: if you are a Sunday worshiper, or if Wednesday came and went and you're like, oh, I forgot to do that, bring it on Sunday. That'll be the final day that we will be in this series. And so after that, the leadership team is going to be taking a look at what our estimates of giving, what the turn in, to help us understand kind of where the giving might be for the following year, so that we are setting our budget appropriately, that we are making sure that we are being, again, good stewards of what God is providing. And so you will be getting the next week or so a letter from me in the mail, along with your estimate of giving card. Want you to be sitting down, talking through that with your family, talking about what is God asking you to do, what is realistic, knowing what the economic climate is out there, and then really committing to that. Pray over it. Make that a real commitment. And if you're someone that's never done one of those before, this is the year. This is the year to do that and to be intentional, because in order for us to really grow that gift of generosity, we have to be intentional about it. And then either on trunk or treat night, the 26th, or the 30th, that Sunday, the final Sunday of October, bring those in. We're going to have a time in the service for you to offer those up to God and say, this is what we as a family have decided to do, and how we have committed to this. And we're going to pray over those, and we're going to pray for God's blessings to be upon them. So that is what's happening this month. And then we're going to follow it up with finding faith in your favorite movies. That's what's coming up in November. So super exciting. I've got some ideas based on some of the movies that you guys have suggested. Please don't be mad at me if your movie did not get chosen. There's many movies, and there's just no feasible way for me to watch all of them before November, unless that's just what I'm doing with my life, which doesn't sound bad, but I kind of have a job and a family. So, but I've got some really good things. You guys have suggested some really awesome stuff, and I'm excited to talk about that in our worship. So, that's coming up in November. The final thing I want to talk about is leadership team. November 10th is our charge conference. That's going to be a Thursday night at 6:30. Rebecca Treves, our district superintendent, will be here to lead us in that. And Gable has been invited to also do their charge conference that night with us. And so that'll be nice to see some of them as well. Before that, we need to have our nominations report ready to go to vote on that night. And you might be saying, Katie, what is a nominations report? And our nominations report is kind of our list of our leadership team and our delegates and things like that. And so you might have heard some of our leadership team get up and speak in church. The way that our team is structured is that every year, one member from each of the sub teams is going to roll off. So we have one member coming off from finance, one member coming off from trustees, one member coming off from SPR. Our lay leader and annual conference delegates, those are only 1-year commitments. And so this year, if you are interested in joining our leadership team, there's an application, and we do that because we want to, it's open to every member. Anybody can apply if you are a member of this church to be a part of that, and to show that you are committed to this church, that you are committed to the future of this church, that you are ready to do that work. Because one of the things that changed when we went to a leadership team is it's a smaller number of people doing the work. And so we want to make sure that people understand that, and that they're committed to doing it. It is not just a say, yes, I'll do that, and then never show up to meeting. That's not going to fly with leadership team. It is a smaller group of people committed to doing the work that needs to be done. And then we have 3 openings for annual conference delegates. Delegates will go to annual conference in June and any other special called annual conferences in 2023. And so we have 3 lay delegate slots that people can be applying for. Again, the only requirement is that you are a member. And then lay leader. And that is someone who sits on leadership team and does some of the work between leadership team and the congregation. And so if any of those interest you at all, we really encourage you to sign up. The deadline to get your applications in will be October 23rd. So that is it's a Sunday. Our team that will be looking over those, which is a subset of the leadership team, will be meeting that week in order to review them and then make our recommendations. But really, it's the church that gets to vote on it, to vote yes or no. So we'll make our recommendations. But it's at church conference that really gets voted in and approved. So please consider it. I've really enjoyed working with the leadership team and the people that have been on it. And I know that the reason that some of them are coming off is they've served faithfully in the church now for years in leadership roles, and they deserve a break. And so we're going to give that to them. And so we know that some of you have been on breaks, and maybe it's time now for you to come back into the fold and take that on for a few years. So please, again, think about it, pray about it. And there's applications available in the office. You can also apply for that online. So on our website, the stewardship stuff is also on our website under the Give tab. You'll see stewardship, and you can sign up for, you can do your estimate of giving there. You can also enroll in automatic giving there, or come to the church and we will walk you through any of that process as well. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening. It's good. Praise God. I am grateful for it. I'm grateful for all of you. And know that next week our episode is I'm inviting Tiffany. You might have known that we went down to Leadership Institute in Kansas City for it was less than a week, but we've come back with a lot of great insights, some great ideas and stuff. So we're going to be sitting down and talking about that next week. And so with that, I will end this podcast. I hope that you have a great day, and I can't wait to see you in worship. Until next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Wednesday nights at 6:15 or Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. You can also worship with us online at firstumcyankton.org or find us on YouTube.